Hello everyone, welcome back to card number 2 in my Cheerful Daisies card class. My name is Ellen Woodbridge. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Australia. So for this card we are playing once again with the Cheerful Daisies suite. I have thrown in our 4 square dies. These are the 2 versions of the card I've made. Now all I've done to make them different is flip the designer series paper. Now that designer series paper is the fresh as a daisy paper, which coordinates with the Cheerful Daisies dies. Now my idea for this card came from a card I've already made. So this was done for a colour challenge. I've popped it on my blog, and for these pieces here I used blending brushes with basic white cardstock. So what we are going to do today, we've added in the designer series paper. We're using the mask in the background, but for our flowers we are using the actual cardstock and deepening it with our blending brushes. So let's get to it. I do have lots of bits already cut out, ready to go. So I'm just going to put my blending brushes. We do have a lot more blending brushes than that we're actually going to use. Now let me tell you what I have already die cut. So I've already die cut these 2 flowers. I've also already cut out our cone flower, and I have used our deckled rectangles dies to cut out our basic white. So in the project sheet I will tell you exactly which die I used, and we have also used the double oval punch, which perfectly coordinates with the sentiment from the stamp set. So I love finding things I already own that I can use with our pieces. So I'm going to pop these to the side. I feel like I'm running out of room and I've only just started. Okay, we might start with some of our blending. So I'm going to take our deckled rectangle piece. I'm just going to move this stamp set out of the way too. So deckled rectangles piece, just take a piece of scrap paper. Now I'm going to bring in our 4 square masks. I think I may have said dies before, but clearly these aren't dies. So just using this fun geometric set. We also have a number of different masks in here. This geometric pattern, this one that does actually coordinate, and then we have a great graphic square. I want to say it's a dot, but it's a square grid. So they are the other masks, but we are just using this one today. Now I've forgotten to tell you all the colors that are in the cards here: Azure Afternoon, Pebbled Path, Garden Green, Lemon Lolly, Crushed Curry, Moody Mauve, and Bubble Bath. And kind of my inspiration for using this piece of designer series paper and then popping coloured flowers on top, that's upside down, was having a field of flowers and then having these 2 coloured flowers just pop out in the field of white flowers. So that's where my inspiration came from. And we're not going to use this mask straight away. I'm just going to pop it to the side for just a second, and we're going to do some under blending, and I'm just using a mix of our small and large blending brushes. Now I am going to start fairly light and I'm going to build it up. Please excuse me. And I am blending about 3/4 of the way down. So I'm just going to go in with light layers. Oops, there was something in there, but that's okay. So just with light layers, I do love that we're kind of grabbing the sides here. So I do just want to darken that middle section up, but because I've got less ink on my blending brush, I just need to push a little bit heavier. So I am really happy with that coverage. So now I'm going to bring in our mask. If you wanted to, you could tape this to the back of the die, well, the back of the mask, which I might do, just to show you what I would do. So I know I've got a piece of washi tape here just above me, but do you think I can pull it off? That will be a no, but is just a good old piece of washi tape, and I'm just going to pop that on the back of the mask. So that is nicely adhered, and now we're going to go over the area that we've put the base blending on and just make that pattern appear. So you can go as light or as heavy as you'd like. So you can see that is fairly light, and I think for this card I do kind of want to keep it fairly light, and it's actually not a the pattern isn't even, which I kind of like as well. So I'm going to leave that there, but you can see I've done it in slightly different ways on my other 2 samples. Okay. Oh, I haven't put a couple of things on blocks here, so we will. Lucky we don't need that ink pad again, because that is now firmly on the floor. So just pop this mask aside so I can clean it later. Just very carefully pulling that off. I will be able to reuse that washi tape, so pop that up here. I'm going to take my Moody Mauve piece and my Moody Mauve ink. So you can see between this and the ones I've done, I have added some depth using our small blending brushes. Just making sure one's pink, one's purple. And I do just keep a singular colour for each of my blending brushes. So I'll have one that's just for pink, one that's just for like deeper purple, or deeper pinks and purples. And what I'm doing is just catching the edges, and I'm being careful with these 2 petals because they do have just a very little connection and I don't want them to break off. But I'm just catching these edges and deepening them up and adding some life and dimension to this flower, which is exactly what I would like. Okay, I am fairly happy with that. Just a little bit more down there, and I think I'm very happy with that. Okay, pop that brush to the side, close the ink pad, and we are going to go on to our bubble bath flower. Okay, and I'm going to get all these pieces ready and then make the card. Now, this piece is very, very small and actually quite delicate. So I'm probably going to use more of a pouncing technique than actually using round and round motions. Okay, so that, and I'm just going to pounce this on the edges just because it is so very delicate, but we still get the desired outcome without ruining any of the integrity of the piece and changing its shape. So you can see how I've built that colour up at the bottom. Okay, what's next? I think I might go on with our leaves and our stems. And actually, no, while I'm here, I do have the 2 flower centers. Now, my original card was this one, and when I tried to deepen up the flower centers, and I actually lost all of the detail that I had built originally. So when I did it with my team, so I've made these cards with my team recently, and what I've done, I've taken my lemon lolly and I'm just going to, this one is very wet by the looks of it, I'm literally just pouncing on the lemon lolly. So I've coloured that whole white piece lemon lolly. I'm going to close this ink pad, and then I'm going to bring across crushed curry, and I'm going to put that large flower centre on a block, which I haven't done yet, but that's okay. I know you'll hang with me while I do this. So I need the flower centre, I need the leaf, and I need the stem. So we'll pop all these on blocks, and then we will be ready to rock and roll. So just bear with me here. Oh, this one wants to roll away. So I have my stem on a block, and I shall just grab these 2 little friends. Okay, so they're ready to go for a second. So I've taken crushed curry just so we can get that beautiful detail showing up. Just use my nail to flip that off. Turn this one around because this one is actually the correct shape. So just take that one. I did move slightly on this one, but it still looks wonderful. So I have our flower centers with the yellow background, which works lovely. Close this and bring in our garden green. Now this is going to create the base for our flowers, as if they are growing out of these beautiful white daisies, and then we might have some gerbers, all coloured daisies. Both exist in nature. Okay, so I don't want these necessarily straight up and down, and I also don't want them full strength. So I'm going to stamp off and kind of go this way. So this one is going to be full height. Okay, and then this one is going to be a bit shorter, and I'm also going to turn the stem around. Okay, oh, that was a bit close. Now next we're going to come in with our leaf. Now if you wanted to step this up, you could most definitely stamp and die cut a few leaves For me, I just want the flowers to be the central part. So they're the ones that I have actually die cut out and made the hero. But you could definitely do these as well. And I've stamped them off to just make them a little more subdued. So we have our base there, which looks perfect. And I have used our amazing adhesive sheet. If you have never used this before, or you don't have it in your stash, I highly recommend it. So it is adhesive encased between two backing sheets. And what I have done, I haven't done it on one. So our bubble bath piece doesn't have it, but our Moody Mauve does. So you can see here that we've got the backing that we're going to take off, and we're going to put that onto our vellum backing pieces. So this still gives a little bit of translucency without covering up the whole background. So just let me pop a few of these pieces out. 1 and 2. That's those pieces out, and I'm just going to use my Take Your Pick tool with the crafter's pick that I find so very helpful. And what I just want to do, there we go, is just pop up this edge. I did just have it a second ago. There we go. Sorry if you can hear my kids in the background. I don't think they heard that I was actually filming, but that's okay. I do have the door closed now. I've taken up too much. I've taken up a whole layer of the paper here. This one is where it's at. So let me just pull this apart a little bit more. Okay, so I'm just going to support this as I go around so I don't rip off any of these petals, but there we go. So we have this off. Now, lining this up is trial and error, but what I tend to look for is these 3 or 4 petals at the bottom, and then I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and I know that they are going to go together. So I just hover to go, yep, I think actually I needed to twist 1 more petal. Now this little pesky petal here is the one that I said likes to move. So I've just maneuvered that one into place, and we have our flower ready to put on. So we'll put on our flower center in just a second. Okay, now I neglected to do this one. So you can see the other way to do it, which isn't necessarily the easiest way. I much prefer using the adhesive sheet. Sorry, I'm just going to get that larger glob of glue off there. And then, now I have a slightly sticky hand here. I am going to wiggle this on to our vellum cone flower piece. So they're both on, just using different methods. So now to put some dimensionals on these pieces. So you can see how much depth we have brought into just the plain pieces of paper, which is the fun of dies. You just really get to you get to do some really fun things with them. You can leave them, of course, exactly as is, and that's fine, but I do like seeing what else I can do with them, and just to make them have a little bit more dimension. I will get this mini glue dot out and on, and I will grab back in my craft pick, and I will take this one off. I don't want the other one on my finger, and we are going to just pop this in the middle. So very happy with that. Now with our little friend here, I am going to pop that one off and pop that onto the top of the cone flower. So I've got both of those done. Now I want to adhere them. I will be using exactly the same adhesive that I've used, but I can put this dimensional down a little bit further. I don't want to put anything on the petals, so this flower isn't necessarily going to sit as prominently as this one does. I can put dimensionals in lots of places on this one, as will be shown in other projects, but I'm only going to put them in the middle of both, just so they're not so uniform. So they may be slightly tilting to one side, as a flower would do in nature. Okay, so I am going to cover just the top of this, and I love that the top and the side actually extend out of the deckled rectangle, because I'm going to show you something, and this was my original design. Okay, so this was my original play. So I didn't use the stamp set. I used the stems in the die set, and it just kind of didn't work for me. The background looks a bit muddy because I'd used Pebbled Path in the background, and because of both flowers are smaller and neither of them broke the edges of the decal rectangle, I feel for me they didn't really work. Now I did use the die cut leaves and they look fine, but I think I'm much happier with this version. So just so you can have a look at what it may have looked like, and I really think the injection of the Azure Afternoon really elevated the project. Okay, I think it is time we stamp and punch our sentiment, and then we're up to assembly. Now, I am using Your Friendship Means Everything, and I'm just popping that right here. Perfect. I've used this stamp quite a lot. I've used all of these stamps quite a lot, but if you do have a new stamp and you find it's not transferring the ink evenly, I encourage you to clean it off, make sure there's no ink on it, and give it a rub with your hand, and that can remove some of the manufacturing material that does just hang on the top, and that should help. So I have punched this on a scrap of basic white, and I think I'm going to have to take a slither off this. I went a little bit too far in the middle, but that's okay. This is what happens when you're using a punch sometimes. Okay, this gives me a wiggle room. It really does just fit perfectly. And just punch. So that is going to go on dimensionals, ready to pop onto our project. Just bear with me a second, trying to be a little bit tidy here. Okay, dimensionals. Try and get everything out of the way. Now, I would love in the comments, while I'm just doing this, to tell me which version you prefer of this card. Whether you prefer the daisies on daisies or whether you prefer the azure afternoon background. Because the wonderful thing about all of these designer series papers is they have a daisy design on one side, and then they have like a rough brush stroke on the B side in all the colors that go with the set. So it gives you so many possibilities, and I really have enjoyed using both sides. So let's grab out, this is just got a tinsy bit of trimming here to do. I've just got a bit of a jaggy edge here. There we go. This is Pebbled Path, and I have just popped our deckled rectangle on that. Dimensions once again will be in the project sheet. I don't often do dimensions, but I do them for my classes. So if you've ever seen my live videos, which I do one weekly on my YouTube and then put the replay up, one weekly on YouTube on a Thursday, and then I do another on Facebook on a Tuesday, and I do put the replay of my Facebook up onto YouTube for those viewers to watch if they don't follow my Facebook page. But I have daily content going up on my Facebook page, so I don't know why you wouldn't follow me there, because I put up lots of fun things, fun memes. I share projects, yeah, mostly twice daily content, sometimes just once a day, but generally twice daily. Okay, so let's just pop this sentiment on, and then it is all, now I've got a bit of an area there that I'm not enamored with. I'm not sure what happened there, so we can use our sentiment to cover that up. And once again, I'm going over the edge of our focal piece. Now this piece would also look really good popped up on some dimensionals, but I did put it on dimensionals for this one, and I've kept these two flat for no other reason than I didn't think about it until after I'd stuck it down. So just taking a piece of thick Whisper White, using my bone folder to burnish that fold, make it sit nice and flat, which is perfect. And grab our multi-purpose glue. You may also prefer to use Stampin' Seal. I just love the slip and being able to wiggle this into place exactly where I would like it of our multi-purpose glue, which just suits me perfectly. So just a little wiggle there and a little wiggle there. Now, to finish it off, these are the embellishments that go with this suite. So these are called solid gems, and they come in copper clay, Boho Blue and Lemon Lolly. And I just thought the Lemon Lolly, just having a few of them, so I've done one with, one without, but I definitely do prefer the with. And just popping a couple of them around, just to highlight and move your eye around what could be, and kind of is, a little bit of a busy project. Just try and pick this up. Do just want one there, and I will probably pop another one just down here. Kind of want to make this top one a cluster of 3. There we go. Quite happy with that. So yeah, Copper Clay, Boho Blue and Lemon Lolly for those colours, and they coordinate with the paper perfectly because we do have these 3 colours going through the paper as well as the Azure Afternoon. So that finishes my second card. So in the comments, tell me whether you prefer it with the plain background or the floral background. So what have we used, and try not to cause a huge avalanche here. So of course, because we're doing the Cheerful Daisies class, I have used the Cheerful Daisies bundle. I have also used the deckled rectangle stars for our focal piece. I have grabbed in a pattern of our Fresh as a Daisy Designer Series paper. The sentiment is our double oval punch, and the embellishments, which are the solid gems, and I did use an assortment of our blending brushes. So I used both the normal blending brushes and the small blending brushes. Full details for this card will be in, or full details as in full product list and the measurements will be in the project sheet. If you have any issues, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask. And I hope if this is the first video that you've watched, you go back and watch card 1, and you also have card 3 and a couple of bonus cards. So thank you so much for supporting me by purchasing my class, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.